Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Terry, Cass Terry, and I am going to show you my Chapter 2 of my blog. It entails unhappy doctors, which is sort of the theme. I'm going to be doing at least 4, maybe 5 of these. This is number 2. And this one is called I hate practicing. I love being a doctor, but I hate practicing medicine, Chapter 2. And I'm just going to narrate it for you. So I'm going to start out here with an interview. Actually, this was in the New York Times. It's reference 1 of this blog, which is at the bottom, listing all the references. But this was an interview by Dr. Jawhar, Jahhuar, of one of his friends, Dr. Saeed Siddiqui. And I'm just gonna, it's very interesting what he has to say. Then you'll figure out why that picture of 7-Eleven is on my blog. So here's Dr. Siddiqui. He's talking to Dr. Jawhar, and he says, I was really naive when I was a resident. I thought it was enough to take good care of patients, but the world is totally different. 90% of doctors I know are fed up with medicine. Dr. Siddiqui confessed to Dr. Jawhar that he had been seriously thinking about quitting medicine altogether and opening a convenience store. That's a drastic change in career, I'll tell you. But that's how serious he was. And then Dr. Jawhar goes on saying that it's not just managed care. He says there's stories of patients that come into your office with medical knowledge, quote unquote, that they garnered from the primarily from the internet, which is amassed with medical knowledge, or at least medical writing, demanding, some of them demand antibiotics for viral illnesses or MRI scans for routine symptoms. These are prevalent in doctors' lounges, according to Dr. Jawhar. And of course, malpractice suits also remain at the vanguard of all of our minds, compounded by increasing malpractice insurance premiums that have driven many docs out into early retirement. And as we all know, especially the OB-GYN doctors, especially the OB doctors. Now, in a survey last year of nearly 2,400 patients conducted by a physician locum tenens recruiting firm, which is reference to, 3% of docs said that they were not frustrated by clinical aspects of medicine. 3%. What's that leave? 97% that were frustrated by medicine? Frightening. The level of frustration has increased with nearly every survey they have done. And moreover, there is an increase in the numbers of doctors who harbor decreased satisfaction for medicine and would advise a friend or family member not to go into the profession. This dissatisfaction would probably not have reached such a feverish pitch if reimbursement had kept pace with doctors' expectations. But, as we all know, it has not. This was some work by Dr. Mark Linzer, who's I think he's an internist, or he's in medical, either that or a family doctor, but he's at the University of Wisconsin in Madison, Wisconsin. let's just look at Medicare, Medicaid reimbursement. And I know you don't like those words, but they are there. Let's look at this now. Doctors seeing Medicare patients face a 24% cut. 24% cut in reimbursements that was supposed to begin on January 1st, 2014. And when this was written, I think in December of 2013, but almost no one has grasped that those cuts will hit Medicaid too. Thank you, Mr. Obamacare, Dr. Obamacare. Unless Congress acts, we're likely to see a huge exodus of doctors who will not accept either Medicare or Medicaid patients. That's already happening, even before this was written. But reimbursement cuts are only a small part of doctors' rules. It's not the only one. You know, as salaries for your office costs go up, for personnel, your practice expenses, cost of living continue to increase, pushing doctors even more and making it even harder just to maintain an income, let alone increase in income. It's not surprising that to make up for their decline in revenue, doctors, I've seen this, are selling nutrients and herbs in their office. You know, the chiropractors have been doing this for a long time, but now we are doing it. Others restrict their practice only to patients who can pay out of pocket or have select, quote-unquote, medical insurance. And I'm going to get back to that in my next blog, Chapter 3. But the question here is it possible that doctors are too unhappy to provide good care? Well, that's an interesting question, and one that Dr. Linzer is concerned about at the University of Wisconsin. According to him, there is a looming shortage of doctors, especially in primary care. In primary care is the lowest reimbursement of all the medical specialties and probably has the most dissatisfied doctors. And then we come on the phenomenon of the hospitalist. In another one of my, I think it was Chapter 1, they're what's known as the blades, or the proceduralist, compared to the cognates like me and others of you who are not blades. Primary care docs, and it's understandable, primary care docs can't afford to leave their offices long enough to take care of their hospitalized patients. They now rely on these hospitalists to provide inpatient care. This is all over. Been at the Mayo Clinic for quite a while now, I believe. The consequence is that patients' doctors are not involved in their care when they are most ill. Something wrong. That's a real disconnect. This often contributes to the poor coordination, generous use of consultants, which is so ordinary in hospitals today, and increases the cost also, by the way. Patients don't even know their doctor's names anymore when they're in the hospital. Go in there, hey, Dad, who's your doc? Hey, I don't know what his name is. There's so many that come in and out of here. Well, where's your local doctor, your local medical doctor? Oh, he doesn't come in here. I was turned over to somebody else here that works in the hospital. Very common. Why study physician satisfaction? Well, the good reason is, one of the really good reasons, is, according to Dr. Linzer, is that he believes, and others believe, that the crucial medical outcomes have been linked to physician satisfaction, including prescribing behavior, patient adherence to medications, term we used to call compliance, which I hate. So I like patient adherence to medications, and patient satisfaction and quality of care. He doesn't think, and I agree with him, that any of us would take issue with this statement. He goes on to say that burnout of physicians is an expensive and unfortunate income, for sure. And career choices of medical students and residents he says, may be influenced by stressed or dissatisfied doctors. I'm going to say will be influenced by stressed and unsatisfied doctors. Levinson, also, he's referenced this number 8 down there, studied the impact of shortened patient visits on physician-patient encounters and the risk of malpractice. This is very interesting. Actually, one of these studies, one of my old residents who trained with in the program I was head of in neurology, he's now a psychoneurologist or psychiatric neurologist. So he was a co-author on this paper, but they found that this is really interesting. Primary care physicians who had been sued spent an average of 15 minutes with each patient, while docs who had not been sued spent 18.6 minutes. So does that 3.6 minutes really make a difference? Well, some people think it does. Well, look at research from Cleveland and Cincinnati have shown that patient satisfaction is strongly associated with visit time, especially for visits over 15 minutes. This is supported by other recent articles and an editorial that I also reference. The amount of additional time that respondent physicians said they would need to provide care ranged from 1 to 6 additional minutes. Doesn't that sound minuscule? But it's there. Is that correct? Such a small amount of time? Well, yes. According to these studies, it is. It remains to be seen, however, whether adding 6 minutes of contact time will erase job satisfaction and increase the quality of care they provide. So, I mean, it's not been proven yet, but there's evidence to suggest that. So, in summary, I'm going to conclude here. There is less physician satisfaction, and there is significantly higher intent to leave the practice within 2 years when compared with physicians in many other practice settings. So it's a dilemma. It's a tragedy. Potential explanatory factors include resource availability. It's a big one. Staff and community relationships, and insufficient time allotted for new patient visits. So I'm going to put you on hold just for a second here. Sorry about that. Important phone call came in. Just to finish off here, I'm going to show you that we're on chapter 2 here right now. Chapter 1 is also been done, and chapter 3 now I've completed, called Disenchanted Doctors, which I'm going to be narrating that very shortly, today or tomorrow. And I'm going to have chapter 4 and maybe chapter 5, I'm not sure, maybe just chapter 4. I'll know soon. If you want to know more about me, just click on Dr. Terry down here, and you will see sort of a short bio sketch of me on my blog, or on my website called More Than Drugs, because it also deals with unhappy pharmacists, of which I am also a pharmacist, a PharmD. So look for my next post called Disenchanted Doctors, and thank you for listening, and please leave a comment. I would really appreciate all constructive comments. Thank you so much. Bye now.